Hello, welcome again to class. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Thank you so much for being part of our success so far. And thank you so much for subscribing, following, and sharing. Now, if you have not subscribed, you're not following, please do. You've been gaining value. What are you waiting for? Why don't you make us make progress and also share this so that others can also benefit from what you're benefiting from. Thank you again for staying tuned to class. Now, we started already in animal nutrition, and we started with the dietary calcium, and we looked already about the things, we listed out the things to expect. We said we expect the brief history, we looked at the historical perspective, we've also looked at the sources of calcium, we've also looked at the functions of calcium in the body, in which case especially for teeth, for strong healthy teeth and bones, and also for nervous impulses, and also contraction of the muscles. We now looked here at we've also looked at the absorption of calcium. Today we'll be looking at this, and then next class we'll look at this, and then we'll wrap up to other aspects of other minerals. Now let's delve straight into what we have today. Now we're looking at the metabolism of calcium. Now what is metabolism? First of all, it's a thing that we have been coming across in our lower levels, and we're having it here. Now metabolism deals with how the body of an organism takes in food, substances, and then break them down, restructure, and then build raw materials that are necessary for the body. It could be cells, building of tissues, building of other form of organs or other vital raw materials that the body of the organism, it could be small organism, it could be big, it could be human, it could be poultry, birds, and others. So that's what it is. Now for the definition I've given about metabolism, I've talked about taking in of food or taking in of substances and then breaking them down and then restructuring them and then building again. In other words, the breaking down part is catabolism, and then the rebuilding, the restructuring of it is anabolism, in which case catabolism refers to the aspect of metabolism where a food substance or nutrient is broken down. Catabolism deals with the fat and the part where another structure is formed out of the previous, and then to form new materials that are necessary for growth, for repair, for maintenance. Now, in which case, in catabolism, you have release of energy, where you take in food and then it's broken down. Release of energy in form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate, and then the anabolic process will give you or maintain the body temperature and others, and then repair. Now, to this end, talking about metabolism of calcium, it will lead us into the what we have today, how the body maintains balance. Now, from here, metabolism of it, because there's usually a breaking down and a building up, building, eventually it's going to lead to what is called maintaining stability in the internal system of the body. In which case we look at hemostasis, how to look at homeostasis or homo. If you want to look at something, homo means stable or the same. Hemio means stable, hemio the same. Hemostasis meaning is stable, simple, same stability. Hemostasis. Now calcium homeostasis, or having a range of calcium that is acceptable, that is normal. It doesn't have to be a particular figure. It can be a range, acceptable range that is normal. Above that range is being too much, and lower is going to be a hypo, that is being too low. In this case, we look at the three major hormones that ensures a stable internal level of calcium in the body, while of course during metabolism. You see the parathyroid gland. It is parathyroid hormone, which is PTH. What it does is that it increases blood calcium by stimulating what? By doing three things. Number one, number two, number three. Number one is stimulating bone resorption. Now, what is resorption? Resorption may be a very big word for some people. Some people know it, some don't know it. Resorption has to do with a process where a particular nutrient is actually taken again from the body and then put in a different method or put in a different form and then used up again, resorption, and reabsorbed into the body again. So in which case you can have the breaking down of a particular cell, put them into a different form and then reabsorbed again. In this case you see the reabsorption of calcium from the bones of the body, reabsorbing them into the bloodstream, and then they are moved to other places where they will be needed. Then another thing that parathyroid hormone does is it increases the activities of vitamin D. Vitamin D works in tandem, works together with calcium to ensure strong bones and teeth. And also parathyroid hormones also increase renal activity. When you see the term renal, it has to do with the kidney. Now, what's the function of the kidney? The kidney does ultrafiltration. Now, what it does here, what the PTH does is increases reabsorption of calcium in the urine, so that in the kidney, so that the calcium is not excreted all in through the urine. Now, we'll come to this place now because we'll get to see that calcium is excreted three main areas, but of the three, number one stands out being urine, then feces and sweat. Now, so that in this renal range, in the kidney, this PTH help the reabsorption, so that instead of losing calcium, it's being reabsorbed again into the body. So these are the ways in which you have to maintain a stable level of calcium in the bloodstream in the body. Now, opposite to this is number 3. Calcitriol is another hormone who does the reverse of this. What it does is if the body clock or body realizes or figures that the level of calcium is actually higher than the normal range, there's something going to do. Now, this calcitonin, what it will stimulate the lowering of blood calcium by inhibiting or stopping for a while the reabsorption of calcium. In which case, once calcium is not reabsorbed in the renals, that is in the kidney, it's definitely going to be excreted via what? Via urine. It's going to be excreted via urine. And also other places like we talked about in passing where urine calcium is excreted is through the feces. Whether it is spelled F-E-C-E or F-E-F-A-E-A-C, feces and sweat. Now, let's come back to this place. We're still talking about regulation and 3 hormones that ensures the regulation and the balancing of blood level calcium. It is number 2 is calcitriol. Calcitriol is essentially 1,25 dihydroxy vitamin D3. Now, what it does is that it increases intestinal absorption of calcium. Now, you've seen places, you see now that calcium is absorbed and also the intestine. We talked about it in the previous class. And that reminds me, if you missed any of these things parts we looked at, please go to the previous class and then you'll be able to get this in the duodenum and the jejunum, the duodenum and the jejunum. Now, the small intestine is divided into 3 parts: the ileum, duodenum, and the jejunum. So the jejunum and the ileum and duodenum are the parts where absorption of calcium happens. So in this case now, we'll see that these hormones help in ensuring a stable level of calcium. Now let's go back again. What we've done already is the metabolism of calcium, in which case metabolism has been defined to be the process where nutrients or some other intakes are being processed, broken down, restructured, or worked upon into another form to produce raw materials needed for the body to ensure maintenance and repair. And even not just repair, even production of body tissues and cells. So that's metabolism. It could be either this or this. Now let's draw the curtain for now. And for the length of the video, I want to draw the curtain now. And then next lecture, I'll be looking at deficiency symptom. Now, what happens when a person or an animal is deficient in the blood level calcium? Now, what are those things you will see if you notice it? Now, especially for those keeping poultry, a lot of calcium is required for egg formation. You will know it very easily. You see the shell of the egg, when you begin to know, easily break. By the time it rolls, it cracks. By the time it rolls, it cracks. What can you do to increase the level of calcium of your birds? So let's see in the next class. Thank you so much. If you've gained, please share, and also like, subscribe so you get more information. Thank you so much. Let's see next class.